Hello, my name is Hen, and they were playing audio choice. Okay.
Let us begin the story. You are a young wizard, seeking treasure and glory. You are walking along a path in the forest, one-day journey from Ring City, your beloved home. Night has just fallen, and you're thinking about how it might be a good idea to find a campsite. After all, you are in goblin territory, and it is dangerous to travel in the dark. Suddenly, you smell something awful. Reginald, are you responsible for that outrageous smell? You ask the warrior striding ahead of you. Pray no. I am always downwind from my companions when I squeeze the bellows, Reginald answers.
Voices.
You realize that you have never encountered this stench before, and it is close. Perhaps it is your imagination, but is that muffled breathing you just heard? What do you do? 1. Shout a warning to Reginald. 2. Dive flat on your face. 3. Hide. 4. Stop and listen. Speak the number of your choice, or say, repeat.
1. 1.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Please press a button instead to make your choice. Also, you can swipe the screen. Swipe up. No need to panic yet, you think. You grab Reginald by the shoulder and gesture for him to be quiet.
Be quiet.
Your morale goes up a point.
Yes.
The two of you stand motionless for a few long seconds before you hear a low wheezing sort of breathing. Reginald must have heard it too, because he raises his sword defensively. A series of snorts is followed by several goblins with green-tinted skin charging out of hiding toward you. With an arcane word and a flourish of one hand, you use 2 mana and send a bolt of fire into the leader of the charge, who drops to the ground, thrashing in flames. Reginald hacks down another with his sword. The remaining 3 run away, whooping and yipping. Soon their cries are joined by others from the dark forest all around you. Many calls from far too many goblins to fight toe-to-toe. It is a hunting party, tracking wild game, I wager. Human is a delicacy, much better than mutton, Reginald says. You regard the 2 dead goblins on the ground. Dead goblins are worth 10 gold pieces per head in the city. Luckily, you do not need to carry their heads around. The city authorities will accept their left ears. What do you do? 1. Cut the ears off. 2. Just run. Either speak the number or swipe the screen. Swipe up for 1, right for 2, down for 3, and left for 4.
Oh, no,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Please press a button or swipe to make your choice.
What should I do? Oh, no. I don't want to get him hurt or killed, and I have to restart. Should I just go or not? 1. Up. Up.
Get the ears, you exclaim as you pull out your razor-sharp dagger from your belt. For a second, your sometimes slow-witted warrior sidekick does not understand, but as you start sawing away at the first ear, he gets the idea and fishes out his own dagger. Soon you have a bloody goblin ear stuffed into your pocket, and Reginald has one of his own. Nasty? Very. However, 10 gold pieces are nearly 6 months of wages to a common laborer.
That's good.
You earned 10 gold pieces.
Yay!
What now? Reginald asks. Certainly there are excellent places to hide in the forest if we can just make it until morning. True, the goblins may have dogs, and their own sense of smell is keen, you say. We might climb a tree then. That would at least be defensible, Reginald suggests. You wish to be treed like a fox with goblins barking underneath. If you wish a position that is both defensible and allows some freedom of movement, we should hasten to Castle Inverness. It is near, and we could fortify ourselves behind those walls, Reginald says. You frown. It is a fortress, yes, but inhabited by what? Gods know what manner of creature may have taken up residence in that ruin over the years.
Yeah.
1. Hide in the forest. 2. Garrison in the ruin walls. 3. Climb a large tree. Either speak the number or swipe the screen. Swipe up for 1, right for 2, down for 3, and left for 4. Speech recognition sometimes requires its own special magic. If your device does not recognize you, then go back to the home screen and turn off your speech recognition. You can use the buttons and swiping instead. Let us find a tall tree and climb high into the branches.
Yeah.
It would be a trifle to kill them if they climb after us, you say. It does not take long for you to find a suitable tree.
Smart.
First branches are high enough to be out of reach of the goblins, but low enough for the two of you to jump up and grasp. By the time the goblins show up, their green, glowing eyes glaring, the two of you are high in the branches. Reginald fires several shots from his bow, but only manages to hit one. It is a difficult shot with only the eyes providing a target, and the branches below providing the creatures with cover. Undeterred by Reginald, the goblins are busy at some scheme as they make trips back and forth from your tree and the surrounding forest. It is only when you see the flames that you realize what they have been up to.
Yep.
Gods! Reginald curses. They set to burn us! Now what?
No.
You ask. There is a spell you can cast that will turn their
Chris.
fire into blazing light. Perhaps such a light would blind these nocturnal creatures. Or you could elect for the direct approach. Fight fire with fire, and simply blast them with a fire spell. Finally, you could just allow Reginald to use his bow. Now that the fire has started down there, he can see them much better. If he can force them into retreat, you could escape. 1. Let Reginald handle it. 2. Blind them. Requires 2 mana. 3. Blast them. Requires 4 mana. You have 12 mana. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Please press a button or swipe to make your choice.
Because I have no idea. Just let Reginald handle it. To blend them. Oh God. I see.
Shut your eyes! You shout to Reginald as you put your hand over his face. Whoosh! The fire brightens into a terrific flash as your spell takes effect. The goblins nearby scream as they stagger about, blinded. The two of you waste no time climbing down and leaping off to the side of the fire.
I feel
You
like
meet no resistance from the goblins so far, and you are tempted to kill some of
choice.
them for their ears. However, you decide not to push your luck. The fire has died down, and there are many more goblins in the forest. Your morale goes up a point.
Yay!
The two of you run from the tree back to the trail. You decide the castle is your best defense. Stone does not burn, you think to yourself. The two of you dash up to the fork in the road. The path to the right is barely visible anymore, as it is overgrown. Reginald believes that it leads to the castle ruins. The path to the left is clear, and you think you see a fire down that way. Could it be the goblins? Or is it perhaps something good, like the campfire of another friendly adventuring party? What do you do?
No.
1. Investigate the fire. 2. Go to the castle ruin.
Well, we go to the castle ruin.
I'm sorry, I
Wait.
didn't hear you. Please
That's
press a
not how
button
it
or
goes.
swipe to make your choice.
2.
Enough foolishness! To Castle Inverness and her blessed walls, you proclaim.
Yeah.
Reginald
we
rises to
know
his feet.
that's
Yes!
safe.
May their puny bodies break
Yeah.
against our
I wanna
stone
go
defenses.
over there just in case.
Your morale goes up a point.
Yes.
After a minute
We're
of stumbling
back.
down what is best described as a
Okay.
game trail, you see the shadowy husk of the ruin in the moonlight ahead. Unfortunately, the battle cries of your pursuers are closer than ever, and when you look back over your shoulder, you see glowing eyes, lidless, green, and bulging out like small onions. The two of you turn on a boost of speed, and soon the outer wall of the castle looms before you. It is about 10 feet high and crumbling. You realize with horror that there are no holes on this side that are large enough to fit through. Meanwhile, Reginald, a faster runner than yourself, has disappeared around the north corner of the wall. An arrow whistles past your head. You look back and see at least 4 pairs of glowing eyes. What do you do?
No.
1. Follow Reginald. 2. Jump the wall spell. Requires 1 mana. 3. Turn and blast them. Requires 4 mana. You have 10 mana.
1.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Please press a button or swipe to make your choice.
1.
You turned north to follow Reginald. You have almost reached the corner when an arrow stabs into your shoulder. Oh! You lost 1 life.
No.
You have 13 life. When you round the corner, you do not see your friend. There is a
that's
section of
scary.
partially crumbled wall that you think you can climb
Lost
swiftly.
1 life.
Another
because
arrow whistles by
I
before you are
don't
able to
have
roll
enough.
over the top of the battlement and onto the rotten wooden floorboards on the other side. In a few seconds, there are 4 goblins at the base of the wall, chattering angrily. One of them begins climbing up the rotten rock. You decide this is a good place to take a stand. There is a lot of loose rock at the top of the wall. You are not particularly strong, thanks to your inactive life as a wizard. However, you expect you could push a few large rocks down upon this climber. On the other hand, they are all out in the open, and your combat spells would certainly be effective now. What do you do?
Oh, no.
1. Push rocks down on the climber. 2. Just fry the climber. Requires 2 mana. 3. Fry them all. Requires 4 mana. You have 10 mana. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Please press a button or swipe to make your choice. Absolutely. Why waste your magical energy, that is, mana, when instead you can use the time-honored trick of hurling rocks down upon your enemy? Very medieval of you. Your morale goes up a point.
Yeah.
Sure enough, there are some large loose stones nearby, which you push down upon the climbing attacker. The first one misses, but he looks up just in time to get a melon-sized rock right to the face, making a watery, crunching sound. He falls back down onto the earth where he lies motionless. The other 3 look up, scream in rage, and back off. Suddenly, you feel the battlement boards below you shake to the unmistakable rhythm of footfalls. God, they got behind me, you think. Charging along the runway is a shadow of a tall and lanky man carrying something. A bow. Reginald! You sigh in relief. He must have found another way in. Reginald leans over the wall and seemingly without even aiming, lets loose an arrow. One of the little devils below falls to the ground, squirming with an arrow in his chest. The others scatter back toward the forest. With their eyes turned away, they make difficult targets in the scant moonlight. Nevertheless, your friend takes one more down before the rest make the safety of the woods. We have struck terror into that advance party, but they will call for reinforcements. We have the wall. Can we hold it? Reginald asks. We could go in. You point to the castle keep beyond the courtyard. The castle is 3 stories tall, or at least it had been before the top layer partially collapsed. The fortress is as lifeless and still as a painting. Still, you wonder if anyone is looking back at you from the dark windows and arrow slits of the ruin. What do you suggest? 1. Prepare a wall defense. 2. Enter the castle now. Gods know what is in that castle. Let us fight only one enemy at a time, you say.
Yeah.
Soon the forest around you is dotted with glowing sets of eyes. It is difficult to count them as they appear and disappear behind the trees, but you guess 20 or more. Surely they will attack from all sides at once, says Reginald. And they can see at night, like we can in the day. You consider the long, dry grass of the courtyard below. With some lamp oil, you could start a fine brush fire down there. The light of it could, perhaps, even the odds on these nocturnal creatures. You could even cast a spell upon the fire to create a blinding flash. But you are not sure you want to leave the wall to carry out such an unconventional plan. They may attack you while you are away, leaving Reginald to defend the walls. You wonder how long the goblins will take to muster their forces. Your question is immediately answered as you hear a battle cry, high-pitched, furious, and seemingly on the edge of panic. It erupts from the forest as a tide of little green evil eyes surge forward. What do you do? 1. Blast them! Requires 4 mana. 2. Run for the castle. 3. Set the courtyard on fire. Requires 2 mana. You have 10 mana. 2 are not enough to defend all 4 walls. Away to the keep, you shout. You run across the courtyard and open the large wooden double doors, which shriek on rusty hinges. Unlocked! This may be a trap, my friend. We best be on our guard, Reginald says. Once inside, Reginald slams and bars the doors. The entrance chamber is large, with a high vaulted ceiling. The stone walls are cracked and flaking. The ground is strewn with loose rubble. The air is stale. Aside from the double doors behind you, there are closed wooden doors on the north, east, and west walls. It is not long before the front doors begin to rattle violently. Through a nearby arrow slit, you can see green, glowing eyes and the glint of axes chopping away at the door. You are not sure how long the barred portal will hold them. Reginald wants to hide deeper in the castle. On the other hand, this place smells of death. It might be prudent to take a few seconds to investigate the room and doors. What do you do now? 1. Move on. 2. Search the room and doors.
Repeat.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Please press a button or swipe to make your choice.
I didn't hear the first one. Move on. Or, I say move on.
Reginald opens the northern door and gasps. The light of your lantern streams into the doorway to reveal a huge, pale monster stooping over. It is naked and hairless. with the exception of the pubic area, which obscures the gender of the creature. One small mercy for an otherwise damning sight. Of course, whether this is a lord or lady monster is the least of your concerns. The giant spiked club it grasps tightly in one hand and the melon-sized rock it holds in the other are at the top of your mind. Gods! It's an ogre! Reginald shouts.
Oh, no.
The ogre lunges at Reginald and swings. Its club slams against his shield, sending Reginald careening into the wall. The ogre then throws the rock it was holding at you, clipping your shoulder, spinning you completely around. Oh! You lost 2 life.
No.
You have 11 life. The ogre smiles a jagged-toothed grin and bends down to pick up another rock from a neat pile on the ground. You need to act fast. 1. Blast it. Requires 4 mana. 2. Use a charm spell. Requires 3 mana. 3. Let goblins in and run. Requires 1 mana. 4. Run through another door. You have 10 mana.
Go for.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Please press a button or swipe to make your choice. Run! You command as you point to the east.
Okay. So, I think I'm gonna end it there for now. Wait, next scene. Wait, does this... Oh, then I'm certainly gonna finish this scene. Okay, so I'm not gonna end it.
Run! You command as you point to the eastern door. Reginald reaches the door first and yanks it open. Crack! You hear from behind you. The northern door, the door with the eye hole, has exploded open. The light of your lantern streams into the doorway to reveal a huge, pale monster. It is naked and hairless, with the exception of the pubic area, which obscures the gender of this creature. One small mercy for an otherwise damning sight. Of course, whether this is a lord or lady monster is the least of your concerns.
Oh, crap.
The giant spiked club it grasps tightly in one hand and the melon-sized rock it holds in the other are at the top of your mind. Gods! It's an ogre! Reginald shouts. Just then, the front doors of the castle burst open. Like a tidal wave crashing on the beach, a heap of goblins falls into the room, creatures one on top of another. A chorus of glee erupts from their fanged mouths. Arrows and spears fly over and between the goblins in front. You are struck by a spear. Oh! You lost 1 life.
No.
You have 10 life.
No.
Luckily,
No.
it is only a flesh wound.
No.
Meanwhile, the ogre roars in rage and throws his rock at the first goblin, striking it in the chest with such a nasty crunching sound that you know the goblin will never get up. Reginald and you nearly collide in your haste through the eastern portal. Once through, you slam the door closed. From the entrance chamber you just left come goblin yips of triumph, which then turn into screams of terror that are immediately drowned out by an earth-shaking snarl. Next is the sharp slapping of flesh against flesh and the wet sound of bodies ripping apart. You run from one room to the next. The ogre is not much of a housekeeper. The castle is full of giant cobwebs and broken furniture. Finally, you enter a larger room, a dining room, as evidenced by a long wooden table and 2 fireplaces. You motion to Reginald to stop, and you both listen. Faintly, you can hear the far-off sounds of battle from behind you. Cannot leave that way, you think. Just then, you hear something else. Labored breathing. And is that crying? 1. Investigate the sound. 2. I'm out of here! For glory and loot, you think to yourself as you take the lead. Your morale goes up a point.
Yes!
You quickly realize that the sound seems to be coming from this very room. You creep over to the other end of the dining hall and see a young woman sitting on the ground, chained to a fireplace, rocking back and forth and sobbing. Reginald was right. Her cries break off and she looks up at you with an expression of fear that quickly turns to surprise. "Who are you?" she asks. You tell her your name and that you are here to smite evil while making your fortunes. This brings a smile to her face. A pretty smile, you suspect, although it is hard to tell under all the dirt smudged on her face. She gives her name as Siba and says there is a key to her chains on the table. Sure enough, beside cracked and dusty china is a small brass key. As you set about unlocking her, she tells you that she is the daughter of a merchant who was traveling with their trade caravan when it was attacked by a mighty ogre with a small band of priests of an evil god wearing dark cloaks. Those of her party not killed in the initial attack were taken prisoner and chained up in this room. One by one, they were taken away by the priests, never to return. "They took my father," Siba sniffs. "No doubt he is slain, but I must try to find him. Will you help me?" she asks. You ask her if she has any idea where her father or the others might be, but she knows little of the rest of the castle. Reginald takes you aside and says, "Ought we to take her to safety and then look for her father on our own? She will be in danger traveling with us."
Sure.
You agree that having some half-starved, unarmed daughter of a merchant tripping along behind you will only get her killed. But where is safety? Last time you checked, the courtyard was crawling with goblins, and according to her, the castle residents are not very good hosts. What do you do? 1. Escort her out. 2. Hide her and move on. 3. Send her on her way. 4. Chain her back up for now. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Siba seems like a nice enough young lady, but as the daughter of a merchant, she is not a very good addition to the adventuring party, and so you are eager to escort her out of the castle as quickly as possible. Between the clinking of chainmail armor from Reginald and the incessant sniffling and fearful muttering from Siba, the three of you are not the stealthy party you wish to be. After some searching, you find a hole in the wall of the castle large enough for a human to fit through. Reginald gives you a boost up to the hole, and you look out. Gods, you curse in your head. Green glowing eyes dot the courtyard outside. You get down and tell the others the bad news. As you describe what you saw, there is a sudden jolt of numbing, cold in your back. Oh! You lost 2 life.
No!
You have 8 life.
Oh, no.
You cry out in pain and turn to see a cloaked man barely visible in the light of the shuttered lantern in his hand. He is pointing at you with his other hand. Perhaps this is one of the evil priests Siba spoke of. As you slump against the wall, Siba cowers in the corner. Reginald unsheathes his sword and charges. The cloaked man runs. By the time you recover from the pain and stand up, Reginald is walking briskly back into the chamber. "That sneaky devil eluded me," he says, and then curses. "I would bet my last copper he is off gathering allies to come back for us. We must move on," you say. As you hasten away from that wing of the ruin, the three of you agree Siba should hide for now. There are a ton of hiding places in this ruin. You find a nice pile of rubble for her to hide behind several rooms away. "Stay still and quiet here. We will return. Well, if we do not return by morning, escape as best you can," you instruct her. "Clever," Reginald says as you leave her. "If her abductors find her missing, they will not expect her to remain in the castle. With luck, they will leave the castle altogether to search." "And we can explore unhindered," you say with a smile. The castle is quiet and dark. You walk into a wide hallway that branches in two directions. One direction is covered in a thick layer of dust.
Okay, so I don't know what's gonna happen if it doesn't say that. I'm just gonna, I don't know what I'm gonna do. But I'm sorry I haven't recorded in a while. Just stuff has been happening. I don't want to say what type of stuff, but yeah, I'm sorry I haven't recorded. And I know my let me know video. I said I was gonna post. This is my posting. I hope you guys liked it. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys whenever. God bless and goodbye.